Welcome back to the Canva Code. I'm your host, Dylan Bennett, and today we are going over some of the new features from the last month in Canva. These are some of the new features that I thought were really cool that I think can help you out a ton. So in today's list of features, most of the newest features are actually in Canva Docs. So if you're a big doc user, there's some cool features here. It really looks like Canva is putting some effort into updating Canva Docs and making that more of maybe a replacement for something like Google Docs. And me personally, I love Canva Docs much more than Google Docs. So we're going to dive into a little bit of that. And they've also made some wonderful UI UX type updates. They're really small things, but for somebody who spends a ton of time in Canva or even just a passive user, these will make your life a little bit easier and be much more pleasant in terms of how you use it, how you visualize a lot of things that you're doing. Now, this show is actually based in podcast and in a video show on YouTube. So if you're watching or listening, check out the other version too. That might fit with your schedule a little bit different. Like do tutorials through these videos as well, where you can actually see what I'm talking about on the screen. So enough with my shameless plug there. Let's get right into it. So I've got a Canva doc open here. This is just a template that's currently available on Canva. Now, there's a ton of stuff in here. This is kind of a keys to the brand sort of guideline for this makeshift company here, and we're going to make some of the edits on some of the features that are now available in Canva Docs on this particular document. The first adjustment is that images and videos in Canva Docs can now be stretched to the full screen. If you're watching the video version, you can see that this kind of guideline here has been essentially the margin line for Canva Docs up to this point. You really haven't been able to stretch beyond that, both with text and images or videos, and it's been pretty limiting in terms of what you can do design-wise. Now, when you go to print these documents, it does obviously help stay within the margins and make sure there's no print errors or anything like that. You can still get that with this new feature, but the cool part about this new feature is if you're just sharing this between somebody on the team or saving it as a PDF, it's going to look visually more appealing to the audience because you're taking up more of the screen. There's less negative space, especially with something big like this title sequence here. So all you need to do to activate this is actually just click on the image or the video. There's a little mini menu that pops up when you click on an image or video in Canva, and you're going to click on this little more icon, the three dots. And then about the fifth option down here, there's an expand to full width option. You're just going to click on that, and that's it. You can expand all these animated images. There's a video in this one as well. You just click on the video, hit the more button, and then choose expand to width. And now you can see when you start clicking around, those are going to stay to width on the entire document. So if I wanted to, I could go all the way up and down and choose any other images or videos and expand them all to width so that there's kind of that coherence across my design. Another cool new feature in Canva Docs is that you can now add customizable dividers. Now, a divider isn't something that's new in Canva Docs, but now you can actually customize them. You can change the color, you can change the size. So to add them, I'm just going to go to this blank space here, and you can either hit the little plus icon that pops up when you're selected in a space, or you can hit the short key, which is the backslash key. And then once you're in there, just type in divider. And then from here, you're just going to select divider. It's going to enter that into the doc for you. And then once you've selected your divider, up here in the top right-hand corner, there's a border color and then the divider style icons to where you can change how your divider looks. Now, if you're familiar with Canva, you're already familiar with these two tools. They're going to be exactly the same as editing a line in a traditional design, or even editing frames or borders on photos. So I'm going to go ahead and select on the border color here, and now I can go change this. I really like some of the colors that are in here already, so I'm going to stick with those. There's a nice like mint, almost a mint green color that's here, so I'm going to change it to that rather than just a traditional gray. Keep the endpoints around it, and then you can actually bump that weight up so it's more of a prominent divider in here. You can change the line style just like you can in a traditional design as well. So there's a lot more flexibility in terms of how you're dividing up and how you're showcasing some of your content in your docs, which is really cool. So now I've got that in there. You can move it around. You can expand that to full width as well. You can duplicate it. You can do all your traditional editing with these dividers as well. This is a nice way to break up the content in your Canva designs in order to showcase different pieces or just break up some information. The next update is the capability to add dates and actually mention other members of your team in a particular document. So up here, there's a last updated date on here. To add a date to that, you can, again, hit the short key, the back key, and then type in date. And then there's a couple different options. I just select the top one because it's going to give you the bottom as well. And then once you've selected on date, you can select a date. You can choose today, you can choose tomorrow, or yesterday. Now, when you choose today, that's obviously going to give you today's date. Anybody can go in here and they can modify it. So if another member of your team comes in and they modify it maybe on the 8th, they can go in and change the date to the 8th. Or if they edit it, yesterday, then they can do that as well. If you're choosing the today, tomorrow, or yesterday, it doesn't have an automatic update, kind of like an Excel sheet where you can choose a formula to show you today, which is the last edited date or the last entry on the particular document. You'll have to go in and change those, but it is kind of a nice shortcut to be able to just click today rather than having to search through the calendar and find today's date. You can do that anywhere in the document. You don't have to have a specific placement on it. That's a nice place to showcase maybe a due date or a document date or a meeting date for anything that's going on in your particular document. The next option is a mention. So I went down to a different portion of this particular document. If you wanted a team member to maybe look through something and edit it, or if you really wanted to emphasize a particular piece of this document when you're sharing it with the team, you can tag team members in a particular space on the document to highlight it to the team. Just like tagging somebody on social media, you're going to do the @ symbol, and then you're just going to choose somebody from your team. I don't have a huge team here, so for me, I don't have a large team to choose from. Now, if you have a larger team of maybe 20 or 30 people, you can actually search through that window for a particular team member or a set of team members and add them in there. Then what this will do is anybody that you tag in this will get a notification on their homepage, which shows up right here, this little notification icon. They'll get a notification that they've been tagged in a document, and then they can then go view that document and see exactly where they were tagged. This is a great way to connect with the team a little bit more, maybe highlight some different sections for them or key in on spaces that you want them to review to be able to work together as a team. Just another way that Canva is integrating teams both in person and remote. All right, the next update and the last one for Canva Docs is that you can now save and publish a Canva Doc as a website. Let's say I've got this document to exactly where I want it. I'm ready to publish, and I want to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to go to Share. This little Share window is going to pop up. And right here, this third option here is a website. If you haven't shared a website from Canva yet, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can create a free domain that's published through Canva. That one is very easily shareable. It's easy for a landing page. If it's not a particular website that you care about the URL, this is a great way to do it. I've created a lot of free domain websites through Canva, and it's super simple, super easy, and they work great. They will publish to any browser. If you want a custom domain for the web page that you're publishing and you want it to have a specific .com or .org, you can do that through Wix, much like Google Domains or Squarespace or GoDaddy or anything like that. You can set up a brand new domain for that website. Finally, you can connect a existing domain. So if you've already bought one from one of those sites that I just mentioned, you can connect it to this new site that you're building through Canva. The one downside to a Canva site is there are only one-page sites. So if you're only working with a one-page site, or maybe you're building a landing page, it's totally fine. There's no issues there. But if you want a multi-page site, I do recommend not to go through Canva because you can't have that layerability yet. I would imagine because they have the website capability that eventually they may add something like that because it's super user-friendly. I mean, you can build a one-page site with this in no time at all. I'm going to go ahead and just select free domain, click on continue, and then this will be my subdomain. So if I've got a subdomain, this is my maybe Hyman Labs. And then from here, it'll be .my.canva.site. Okay, so then I can hit continue, just say about, and then you can add a description. You can put in some advanced settings. Go ahead and move my little screen here so you can see all this. Then when you hit continue, there's going to be some options for maybe some additional settings. You can change the tab preview that pops up at the top. You can change the URL, so you can add a slug at the end of it. You can change the page description, all this different stuff. Again, this is much more advanced in terms of the website building sort of thing. A lot of this is SEO based, kind of searchability. You can play with a lot of this. For now, I'm not going to go too crazy on this one because this is just a demo. I'm going to go ahead and hit publish, and then it's going to prepare. It usually takes just a couple of minutes. I'm actually just going to keep going so you can see exactly how long it takes, because usually it's maybe a minute at the most, maybe two. Most of the sites that I've published, depending on how big they are, how advanced they are, tend to publish pretty quickly. I mean, we're already almost, so it's a great way to get an individual site out there. Again, if you're just looking for a one-page site, you're looking for something to share with the team maybe, or just a landing page to get out there, this is a great way to do it. So now I can view my site. So it's going to show me the exact same design. Obviously, you can see all of those full width options stay full width on the website as well. I'm going to be able to play this video. See, and this is just a real basic video that was on that design. And then I'll be able to scroll through. Anything that's full width will continue to be full width. And I have noticed that as you change the zoom for the site, anything that isn't full width will actually zoom in and zoom out, but any full width options will stay full width options. So a couple cool features to Canva Docs. If you're a big Canva Doc user, then these are going to be awesome for you. If you haven't really used Docs, maybe start playing with them. You'll get to see a lot of these awesome features in there. Now, the next improvement is actually through charts and graphs in Canva. Now, these are great for presentations. Again, documents are really good with this. You can use this on some of maybe your social content, maybe a presentation deck for a new client, something along those lines. But there's a lot of capabilities in terms of how you interact with some of these charts and how you maybe do some different colorations and organize, or maybe just visualize some of your data. So we're going to go up here. We're going to go down to charts. And you can see there's a new section here called interactive charts. Now, if I want to see there's 3 new interactive charts here. There's a bar graph, a tree map graph, and then a packed circles chart. I really like the packed circle, so we're going to go ahead and go with that. Looking at this, you can see that there's major groups, there's subgroups within each one. And the nice part about the interactive graphs is that you can actually pop into those interactive graphs and see these subgroups a little bit better. You're going to be able to see all the content that's in here as you kind of grow out your data table here, but you can zoom in, zoom out on each of these particular groups and see all of this sub data to be able to really connect with the data and showcase that to your team. One of the updates here is that when you look at the data table on the left-hand side of your screen in Canva when you're working with charts, there's now a little coloration icon that's going to show you the color for the entire group. So when you click on that particular group, you're going to get a little mini menu that allows you to either delete it or see more. There's some different options in the more, but there's now an edit color group. So you can edit the color of that particular group within the graph to maybe be one of your brand colors, or you can just change it to something a little bit different just to try and vary things up. Anything that's within that group is going to change. So I chose the subgroup 8, and it obviously changed subgroup 9 in there for me. If I wanted to change maybe group 1 and go in and maybe edit that to maybe a dark green, that way you can read it a little bit better, that entire group is going to change. That way when I click on the group, it's all going to be a similar color, but then I can still have that small variance for the subgroups. The other cool part about these graphs is you can actually upload data. Let's say you've got a data sheet that's in Excel or maybe Google Sheets. You can save that as a CSV file and then upload it right into Canva to showcase your data rather than having to enter it manually, which anybody who's had to enter data before manually, you know that how much of a pain that is. Now that same function is going to be available for some of the other interactive charts. I selected on this one. Now this is what's called a tree graph. I've personally never used anything quite this advanced before in terms of a tree graph. Most of the time I'm using that other interactive one with the circles that we were just using. But this is another great one that you can, again, have these subgroups. You can interact with it. You can see the subgroup data. This is just another great way to showcase your data to maybe in a presentation or on a document that can be very interactive. If you do this as like a static piece or maybe a PDF, You're not going to be able to do this interactivity. It's only based in Canva. So if you're planning on using one of these, make sure that it's something that you can utilize Canva to actually showcase that data. All right, now moving on to some of the UI UX updates in Canva. A lot of these updates aren't spectacular, like huge features, new apps, anything like that. These are more options that if you spend a lot of time in Canva, you're going to notice these small differences. They're going to make your life a little bit easier. And these are some of the features that are available in maybe some more advanced design programs like Adobe Illustrator or maybe InDesign, to where Canva is just really upping the game in terms of their level of design and their connectivity with their audience. So the first one actually has to do with the draw tool. This particular tool is called a draw visualizer. Now, what that is when you use the draw tool, you've got maybe a pen, a marker, and a highlighter. When you're using those different things, you can change the color, you can change the settings like the line width or something along those lines. The visualizer is when you go to change the weight, the color, or the transparency. A new visualizer here that I'm trying to highlight with my mouse here. This little visualizer that pops up next to the pen or next to the marker is going to show you the edits that you're making. It's a very small change, but again, something that can be really profound when you're trying to make specific shapes or drawings or something along those lines. This is really profound when you're using this on an iPad or another tablet, to where you can maybe get more finite images with a drawing tool like an Apple Pencil or something along those lines. This is going to show me exactly what that's going to look like. It's not going to show it with colors, but it will show it when I'm going to edit the weight of that particular dot or line and the transparency. Okay, so now I can go in here and I can see it. If I wanted to change the color to maybe one of the blues, and then change the weight to something smaller and up the transparency, I'm going to be able to see that exact thing. It's going to show me the edits that I'm making before I put it on the canvas. This next one is another update to the draw tool. If you use markers, highlighters, pens regularly, there's a set style of colors, right? You've got your set, your base 6 colors of markers, maybe 4 or 5 different colors of pens with the blue and the black and the red. They have made updates to showcase those particular colors as kind of defaults. Canva calls these the smart color recommendations for each of these items. So I've got selected on the pen. If I want to go change the color, it's going to show me the pen colors. It's got 6 different shades here. Essentially, they're all blue, but they're different styles. And then obviously, if you wanted to change it to a particular color, you can do that. You can change it to a brand color. You can change it to, all black if you wanted, or white. That way you can use it in that style. But if you wanted more of a traditional style of pen usage, then you would get that particular color that is more common with pens. Same thing with markers, and same thing with highlighters. The markers, there's 6 traditional ones: black, red, yellow, green, purple, and blue. Again, if you want specific colors or a very finite color, maybe something that aligns with your brand, you can go in and add those. But these are just kind of defaults, some smart recommendations, again, for these particular tools. And with highlighters, you've got six base highlighter colors here. These are all traditional highlighter colors. They're more of a pastel style color, maybe an orange, a yellow, a green, a light blue, a pink, and a purple. So when you go to select those, they're going to be much more stylistically aligned with a traditional highlighter. You can use it in different mediums. Obviously, I'm showing it in a presentation here to showcase the tool, but you can use it on docs, you can use it on social media content, you can use it in maybe a website to showcase different pieces of that particular design. The next upgrade is actually to grids. If you're familiar with Canva and you've been using Canva for a while, they added the ability to add frames and borders to photos. They just added the option to do the same with a grid. So I went in and I chose something that has a few different options that we can see from. Obviously, you can throw different photos in here. Let's go ahead and throw just some nature photos in each of these. The upgrade here with the grids is that now this little border style option is here. So now you can add a border, you can change the corner rounding, you can change the weight, and then you can really customize this grid to be more stylistic with the content that you're building out or the design that you're working on. Now, if I wanted to do this for the entire thing, I could highlight the entire thing. Let's go ahead and add that. Make sure they're all white. And we'll change the border weight here. Change the corner rounding, and that would change it on every single one of them. Now, to do that, all you have to do is just select the entire grid rather than one individual photo, or you can change each individual photo's colorations or style as you see fit. So if I wanted each one to be different, I could select on each individual item, and each item of the grid would then be a different color. So again, this is just a nice little feature. It's not necessarily a big hoorah sort of thing, but it's a nice little feature that you can now make these edits to grids rather than just individual photos and then having to rearrange them to make them grids. The final update in this video is actually a drag and drop tool on the home page to help you organize your designs. Now, if we go to projects on the home page on the left-hand menu, you're going to see your folders, your designs, and all of your projects in Canva. Now let's say I wanted to take the grid image that I was just using in the last demonstration and put it in a particular folder. Typically, I would have to select it, move it to a folder. It takes a little bit of time, but now you can actually drag and drop that design into a folder on your projects page. So let's say I wanted to move it into this little B-roll folder here that I have. All I would need to do is click and hold and then drag it into the folder just like that. And now it shows that went from 3 to 4 items, so that item has been moved to my B-roll folder. Now, if I wanted to look inside that folder, I would drag and hold over I would drag the item, hold it over the folder, and then it would open that folder to where then I could choose maybe a subfolder or just put it right into that folder on my own. This is a nice way to just keep yourself organized, to really organize your designs and push them into proper folders to be able to find them easier, be able to keep your homepage clean in your Canva account. Hopefully in today's episode, you picked up something that can help you out, that can boost your designs, that can boost your organization, or that can just boost your efficiency in Canva, making you even better and picking up your mastery even faster. If you haven't already, please check out the channel. There's a ton more videos and tutorials on how I do all of these things, how I make designs, and how you can level up your Canva designs to take them from newbie to pro in no time. Thank you for joining me today on the Canva Code. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, follow me on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, and stay tuned for more insights on how to use design and Canva to thrive. Thank you for listening, and remember, you Canva do it.